This podcast is brought to you by Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to Hangover Destroyer website, hdestroyer.com, and write happy hour in the coupon code and get 30% off Hangover Destroyer and seize the dawn.
It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com, brought to us today by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or you have a schedule that keeps you away from home, the folks at Petite Pet Care understand that some pets don't mind being boarded, apparently, but others prefer the comfort of their own home, and if that's your pet, Petite Pet Care will give them loving care when you're not there. You can find them at petitepetcare.com on the World Wide Web. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limo or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans. And this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar, at this point we are at Wayfare on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. And Wayfare, in case you're interested to know a little bit about it, is a restaurant serving handcrafted food and spirits, where Chef Kevin White puts fine dining into a sandwich. And if you think that's just some kind of a bullshit slogan, Sarah, it's not. Chef Kevin White was a chef with Mario Batali in New York, among other people, before he moved to New Orleans and opened this restaurant here, Wayfare. And he is a fine dining chef, and he uses all his fine dining abilities to make sandwiches. And if you think that's crazy, wait till you taste one. And if you'd like an awesome drink as well, Wayfare has cocktails and happy hour here every 3 hours every weekday from 4 to 7. That's happy hour at Wayfare, and this is happy hour on the internet, courtesy of itsneworleans.com. My special guests sitting around the table today are Sarah Arcenaux, Kelcy Mae, and Beau Ross, who is actually not here, but is on his way in a cab from Bacchanal, which is a story that we're going to get to in a moment. Kelcy, welcome back. Kelcy's been on our show many times before.
Happy to be back.
Oh, it's good to have you back. Last time we saw you, you had some sort of food poisoning or
flu
bronchitis or something.
Right, yeah.
Bird flu. That's nice. And Sarah Arcenaux is a bartender at Ralph's on the Park restaurant in Mid-City in New Orleans. Correct?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. It's good to see you. Sarah says here that you have worked at Ralph's for around 3 years, and you're about to switch to the newly renovated flagship restaurant of the first family of New Orleans dining, Brennan's on Royal Street.
That is correct. We're really excited. Just can't wait for it to open.
When does it open, actually?
Well, we don't really have a exact date yet. We're just going to say very, very soon.
What year will that be?
2014.
2014
definitely,
for sure.
Definitely for sure. And we have a lot of exciting things going on. We're going to have a really great bar program and some wonderful wine selections.
What are you going to be doing?
I will be behind the bar, making cocktails, facilitating a full-service bar. We'll have our full menu and everything.
Where do you live?
I live in Gentilly, actually.
So is that going to be easier to get to as far as parking and all that crap?
Well, parking is kind of on us, but, that's
you
neither here
have
nor
to
there.
find your own parking space in the French Quarter to work it.
We do. It's
Okay.
part of the challenge.
Okay, that's not right, Kelcy, is it? No, that can't be. Really?
It's part of the challenge. It makes it fun and adventurous.
No, it
worries.
doesn't. It's a pain in the ass, and it's really expensive as well.
And I imagine it unsafe late at night walking back with a pocket full of cash.
Buddy system, we really don't leave with a whole lot of cash anyway. So,
That's great.
Change of clothes, lockers, all that stuff. There's lots of
Wonderful.
precautions that are going to be
But
taken.
where do you park your car? during the day?
There is a lot pretty close that I
And you have
believe
to
that I
pay
will be.
for it yourself?
Yeah, I will be renting a space monthly.
Okay.
Either that, or I'm just going
Well, I
have to
guess
just
you get to
invest in a.
Mark that as your expenses when you pay your taxes. Right?
Absolutely.
Who
Either
do
that,
we call about that? Do you have a representative? Are you in a union?
I am not. No, I know.
We need to sign you up for some sort of union because that can't be right? I mean, that's expensive. We had like a web broadcasting thing called Fastband Globalcast that we did on Bourbon Street in the Quarter for years during the dial-up days when no one was listening to us, and we had to pay for parking. I can tell you, it's fucking exorbitant as hell, and that was 115 years ago.
Well, it seems to me that the people who work in the area, they tend to get breaks too. So from my research in garages, monthly deals. If you pay for it for 6 months, you get a nice break.
I'm calling Ralph Brennan
would make
for you.
sense.
Is he the boss? This is a Ralph Brennan.
Yes, it is Ralph Brennan restaurant.
Who's going to own the new Brennans? Just him by himself, or was
No,
it the whole
it's
Brennan
he and a
family?
business partner. His name is Terry White.
Terry White. He's the guy who's making the decisions about the money, obviously. Then write that down. Terry.
I have no
White.
idea.
Okay, I don't think that sounds right. Anyway, on your behalf.
Oh, no,
In preparation for a career in the service industry, Sarah graduated in humanities and fine arts from
That
the
is correct.
from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Hey, Kelcy, isn't that where you went to school too?
No, it's not. I went to Loyola.
You come from Lafayette or
I
somewhere
come from
around it. Shreveport. Well, that's
Oh,
pretty.
yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah,
Very.
yeah.
Very not close.
Not
About
close.
about a state away.
Yeah,
Lafayette and Shreveport.
Lafayette is still south of the I-10 divide.
No, Shreveport's way up the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lafayette's
okay, by
pretty much.
Texas.
I mean, Shreveport's pretty much Texas.
So you went to school in Lafayette. You're from here, though, right?
I
Sarah?
am. I grew up here.
And you did a degree in Lafayette in the humanities. What does it say here? Humanities and fine arts.
Yes, correct. I
What
did
does
it.
that mean?
Well, I had a double major. At first, I thought I was an artist, and then I realized that I kind of wasn't. But that's okay because I can still be a huge appreciator of the arts,
how
and that's
can you-
where it ended up.
How can someone realize they're not an artist? What did that mean? You thought you had no talent or something?
No, definitely not. Not even close.
Well, what do you mean? you're not
I
an
made
artist?
good grades in my fine arts classes, in my studio classes. I appreciate the political and the cultural drive that artists feel. And I feel it in myself, but for different reasons. And so that the creative to come out of my hands rather than my words is a little different. And I feel like my words had a little stronger impact.
Why didn't you become a writer? Like Kelcy's a writer, for example.
She is.
So
Why
with a
didn't-
humanities degree.
Yes, well.
You have a humanities degree as well. Why didn't you become a writer? I'm serious.
There is, there's things you do in your private life for fun, and there's things that you do
there.
publicly. So, yeah.
Well, we're already onto that now. What do you do in your private life
Wait
for
for the
fun?
former. I know.
Well, I do enjoy to write. I enjoy to cook, and I love to drink. So there you go.
Well, you're living in the right place. So you still write, but just for yourself.
Yeah, generally, just thoughts, little things, little paragraphs here and there.
Do they have to be original or just stupid thoughts?
No. They can be anything that I feel needs to come out.
Is it poetry?
No,
Just
I mean,
bits
I
of prose.
suppose.
You have a notebook?
Several.
Do you have one on you?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. I'd love to read something that you've written. What did you write today? You write anything?
Nothing today.
No, not inspired.
Nothing inspired.
Maybe this will
today.
inspire you.
It could.
So what do you
absolutely.
do with all the bits of stuff you write? You keep them and stick them together and put them on the internet?
No, definitely not. It's fleeting. It's
personal.
here and there. It's very personal. Yeah.
Right.
And they collect on little notes. Sometimes I keep them. Sometimes I don't.
What did you think you were going to do? You think you were going to be a writer when you went to the University of
No,
Lafayette?
not at all.
So what did you think?
I had no idea what I was going to do.
So you weren't a fine artist. You were. Is writing one of the fine arts?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes.
I
thought
suppose it
it's
could
not-
be. I never
I
considered.
have a master of fine arts
You
You
have
do.
an MFA.
and poetry.
You do. I was into
Okay.
drawing.
So
things.
supposedly, I guess that's it fits.
Yeah. You into drawing? Did you say?
Yes. Figure drawing mostly was my favorite.
What's that? Naked people.
Yes, naked people.
That's my favorite.
Most people.
I can't draw anything, but that is great though.
And then turns out, I get involved with this whole craft cocktail thing, and it inevitably that gets people naked too. So I'm
It's
still in the
full
same
circle.
vein.
Yeah. It's much better if you can get people drunk before they get naked, rather
Oh,
than
yeah.
rather than
Loosens
you.
everybody up a little
Otherwise, they're
We
paying
have
you.
to be careful since there's someone filming this particular podcast.
Oh, I don't think he's going to be worried about that. We can edit that out.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. This is being filmed for this is Max Cusimano who's filming us.
Hey.
There you go. So, when people get drunk before they take their clothes off, they're paying you.
Absolutely.
When they're
but
modeling, you're paying them. So
I'm not. Yes,
it's,
you're
it's
right.
a different commercial
It's a different
relationship,
exchange.
different exchange. Yeah.
I don't really think I'm really in the business of getting people drunk. I'm in the business to facilitate a nice time.
Okay.
What you choose to do from there is your own accord. But
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great thing about New Orleans. One of the many great things about New Orleans is that people drink here without being drunk. I mean,
absolutely.
You used to be able to drive around with a drink in your hand, which unfortunately you can't do anymore.
I think some people still do.
I think they still do too. Did you notice
That's what
that?
cup holders are for, right?
Exactly. But people didn't used to be drunk driving. They would have a drink when they're driving. I guess it still impairs your ability to operate heavy machinery, but still. Do we
In
have any
excess, for
high?
sure.
Do we have a higher accident rate here than the rest of the country that weren't driving?
I have no idea. I didn't
don't
have
know
my
the
driver's
stats,
license
yeah.
at that point.
I didn't live here then.
You didn't.
Well, 15 or so, but
How long ago? Is that longer ago than I think? That you're allowed to drive around with a drink?
Okay, my brother is right around 40, and the drinking age was 18 when he was 18, but then it was shortly changed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably when things started getting a little bit more.
Who's your brother? Is your brother Greg Arcenaux?
No, that's my father.
That's your father,
Yes.
is Greg Arcenaux. He's super famous.
Yes, well, I mean, he's definitely got some local following and some,
Yeah.
and some international following as well. So,
Yeah, he is. He's well, tell us who he is.
he is he's a historian and a cultural preservationist. He creates Louisiana colonial style furniture in the historically accurate way. So Louisiana meaning from the boot all the way to Canada at the time of the Louisiana Purchase of the very Spanish and French influences that we had.
And your family's been here for a long time, right?
Yes, his side of the family, yes.
When did they come here?
1700s. Our first ancestor was Michel Arcenaux. There's a story of the lineage. Somehow, I think he came here and he now settled what is now known as Laplace.
All right.
But
Do you own half of Laplace or anything?
I have no
Like
ties
He
to
picked a
Laplace
really
at
creative
all.
name for it.
Yeah, right.
That's where you get those writing.
It may have been
those writing skills.
Yes,
on
yeah.
side of the
Do you-
family.
Do
It
you
may have been
speak-
called something else at the time.
Does
I have no
anybody
idea.
speak French here? Kelsey, do you speak French?
I
as
do
well?
not, but I
No.
think I know what Laplace means.
Laplace. I guess it does mean the place, does it?
It certainly could.
Do you speak French?
I
Miss
understand
Arcenaux?
more. understand more than I can speak.
So I guess Laplace does mean the place. Why would you call something the place?
know.
Good point, Kelsey.
That's probably a modern name, though. I'm not sure what it was before, but the names changed so much. Like Lafayette used to be Vermilionville when Lafayette was here in this city.
Oh, really?
So yes.
Wow.
When Uptown was like St. Charles area, where we are now, was annexed into the city of New Orleans. It changed from the city of Lafayette to the city of New Orleans.
This was called the city of Lafayette
Yes.
Oh, neat.
here. Yeah, there's a big sign on Jefferson Avenue when you used to be able to drive on Jefferson Avenue. You remember that back in the day? There's a sign that says City of Lafayette. I never realized that's what the original name of Uptown, this Uptown
Absolutely,
area
it was. It was upriver and
Okay.
a completely different municipality.
So you've absorbed a bit of this growing up.
Yes,
With your dad.
absolutely. I think it was kind of whether I wanted to or not, it was there.
It's fascinating.
Wow.
Let me tell you something about Kelcy Mae. Would you like to know
I
something
would
about Kelcy
love
Mae,
to.
Sarah? Kelcy Mae is a New Orleans musician, singer-songwriter, bandleader, and recording artist whose fourth record, Half Light, is available where all good music is streamed or stolen. A brand new video off the next single called, what is it called? The Fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hit YouTube. I just saw it yesterday. I got an email
Yeah.
from your fan mailing club or whatever I'm on.
Yay.
It's
I didn't
pretty
know you were
cool.
on that.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
I'm a fan.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a good little video. Who shot that for you?
My good friend Harvey Sanders shot that video.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you.
It's got some moody-looking stuff of you, looking groovy, and then it's got a little story. It's a
A
beautiful
little bit,
song,
yeah.
actually.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's a very nice song. And look, this is perfect timing. Here's our guest, Beau Ross, has just arrived. Beau, come and sit on down. We can get you a drink as well. Graham can get you a drink from the bar or whatever you'd like.
White wine?
Wayfare will,
Something like crisp.
Wayfare will buy you a drink.
Light
Put those
and crisp.
headphones on. I'm just introducing everybody. This is Sarah Arcenaux, Beau.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Sarah, nice to meet you.
Good. Now, hang on. This is Kelcy Mae.
Nice to meet
Kelsey,
you.
nice to meet you.
And the guy over here, this hippie-looking guy, is Sam Cords. We haven't even got to him yet. So you're not really that late. So, Beau, what happened to you? You got stuck. The cab didn't show up, right?
Yeah, I called about an hour and a half ago, and then when it finally came, we got stuck behind the Bywater train, which is the scourge of my existence.
It's
Yeah.
completely unpredictable.
Yes,
move,
it is.
Move right in. So we can-
Move right on in.
There you go. Yeah. Well, so thank God you made it because it's perfect timing, by the way.
Oh, good,
So
good.
excellent. I'm just finishing describing who Kelcy Mae is, who's a New Orleans singer-songwriter. Do you know her? Have you
I've
you
heard of
booked
it.
Kelsey at Bacchanal yet?
Well, we're jazz. If you have a jazz combo,
She's pretty jazzy. She can be. Her new single has just come out, and the video for it's on YouTube. We're just talking about. You can find a link to that on our website. It's neworleans.com or on kelcymay.com, which of course is spelt so difficult nobody will
I know.
ever
No one
find that.
ever goes to the website.
Kelsey and May are both spelt wrong. I mean, not wrong, but non-traditionally. Kelcymae. If you're
That's
listening
it.
to this at the gym or walking around.
Thanks, Dad.
Among her other talents, Kelcy is also a music promoter and a philanthropist. And in those roles, she's the organizer of Highway to the Danger
free zone.
Yeah.
Not highway to the danger zone, but highway to the danger-free zone. An impressive collection of New Orleans musicians playing at the Britannia Bar on Britannia Street uptown, or what used to be called City of Lafayette, correct? On November the 15th, that's 2014, if you listen to this sometime in the future, which is going to benefit the Apex Youth Center.
Correct.
Which is what exactly?
The Apex Youth Center is a youth center in Central City on Simone Boulevard. And
on what boulevard?
Well, is it Simon? I don't know how
Simon
Boulevard.
Oh, I thought
Simone
you said
Boulevard.
Oh, Simon Boulevard. I don't know. How do you pronounce that? You're a historian.
Said Simon Boulevard. I think she got the last part right.
Bo, how would
At
you
least
pronounce?
in the
How do you
local
pronounce
vernacular.
Simon Boulevard Street?
Simone Boulevard.
There we go. So it's a youth center.
It's a youth
they
center.
provide a safe space for kids to go learn, laugh, play. They provide meals and opportunities, activities, all sorts of things that kids need because they're kids.
And how did you get hooked up with these kids?
I was hooked. I saw the documentary Shell Shocked a couple years ago, John Ritchie's film. I don't know if any of you have seen it.
Yes.
It's a great film about how kids in New Orleans grow up surrounded by so much violence. And so Apex Youth Center was featured in that film, and that's when I learned about them.
And so I decided found about it from a movie.
Yeah, and I thought I found out that they are also very underfunded, and so I've chosen them as my
that's
organization
a cool
to support.
Cool thing. It's always interesting the difference between people who just hear about something and get on with their lives, and someone who actually hears about something and does something about it.
I don't really.
So congratulations.
I very rarely do this kind of thing.
But you've done it this time.
It's new for me.
Good job. And you've got all
Thanks.
these bands, the Honourable South and the Local Skank, Micah McKee. All these people are great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Langston Hughes and Jonathan Brown come and play. That's
we
going to
wanted
be
to
a
have
cool show.
We wanted to have a diverse lineup. So there's a lot of different genres presented here, and this is violence in New Orleans is something that affects the entire community. Not just different parts of it. So we wanted the band makeup to kind of reflect that this is a community issue, and so everyone, every part of the community should be interested.
And if we missed it, if we're listening to this after the event, is there going to be some sort of video or audio of this anywhere?
If people show up with their iPhones and their smartphones,
they can post the stuff themselves to YouTube. Okay. Now, in a moment, Lee, perhaps we should do this now. I'll introduce Beau to you first, and then we're going to have a drink of this alcohol that Sarah made and brought here, which is intense looking, isn't it? Would you like to have one now? Here, have a shot of it now if you'd like. Sarah, tell us a little bit about it. What is it?
Oh, well, it's something that my parents used to make when I was a kid and give away as gifts. It's from a really old recipe and an older book.
The Bible.
Almost
from the Bible.
From the Bible.
Okay. What book is it?
It is. It's called Folk Wines, Brandies, and Cordials. It's by a man named Jagendorf. And the last printing of it was in 1963, and this particular recipe it was a oral tradition from his wife's family. So it says in the book. I didn't personally meet him, but yeah. So it's actually a milk liqueur. It starts off with milk.
Wow.
If you can, that's what gives it its nice creamy flavor to it.
That sounds disgusting, right there. It doesn't look anything like milk at all. It looks like sort of brandy color or something, isn't it?
It is. Well, the whey separates, so all of that dairy is then
How do you
filtered
make
out.
it? What else goes in it?
Oh, it's actually pretty straightforward stuff. It's just lemons, vanilla beans, a lot of sugar, of course, and good old grain alcohol. Nice blank slate to start with, and then of course the milk.
Wow.
And then you
Nice.
you put it up, you put it to rest in a dark place, and let it do its magic. Let that alcohol do its magic.
How long does it take before you can drink it?
Generally about a month,
that's
but
all.
you can let it sit in the jar for, probably a year. It wouldn't.
Did you try it, Beau?
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Very creamy.
Yes.
And I'm a geek for this stuff, and I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's most people haven't. It's definitely an
Kelcy,
interesting
did
little
you
thing.
try it?
I did. It
What do you
tasted to
think?
me like a caramel almost.
Yeah,
It's
it's
delicious.
intended to be an after-dinner liqueur, but personally,
You can
I
have it
use
first thing in the morning. too.
Yes, I do. I use a stovetop percolator to make Cafe Bastillo, this really rich, dark,
Oh, I know
bitter
that.
espresso, and it's really good in there.
And then you
Wow.
put it in your Go Cup.
And it
And
wasn't-
you put it in your car. And then
And it wasn't syrupy at all. It was just a right
Yeah.
sweetness for that creaminess. I liked it a lot.
And you're talking to an
very
expert here.
good.
Let me tell you who this is. This is Beau Ross, who's the co-owner of New Orleans bar, wine shop, music venue, and restaurant Bacchanal. That's one of the hippest places in town.
I had nothing
to
to
do
do with
with
the
you.
hip part.
Nothing to do with the hipster angle of it at all. Beau's part of the partnership puts him in charge of marketing, media, and music. Coming from a colourful background and checkered past that involves every aspect of New Orleans outlaw life, from selling pot and mushrooms
Oh, shit.
to DJing on WWOZ for years. Why are those two things in the same sentence?
Yeah, I even
they
sold
connected?
them at WWOZ. No, did not.
You sold,
Just kidding.
That's a great service. Well, people in radio used to win. Back in the day, we used to be able to do anything on the radio. We could,
Back in the treehouse.
Oh, it was
in
great.
Louis Armstrong
Yeah,
Park.
you could do-
anything goes.
Totally, right.
Particularly on the late night shifts.
Yes.
You could do.
well,
could get away
not
with
just
a lot.
OZ, but every radio station in the world, probably, certainly in this country, people would be doing coke and smoking pot and drinking, and there was nothing to stop you.
All those
Because
radio
everybody was
scoundrels.
asleep who employed you. They never listened to it overnight, and someone had to run the station overnight. Now it's just all automated. But OZ's not automated, is it?
No, I think in the beginning when they had a shortage of DJs after Katrina, they would rerun old shows.
Right.
But now I think they've got enough talent to keep
Right.
it live all night long.
But most radio stations in the world, they don't even have live human beings on during the day anymore. Especially overnight, it's just automated. It's just running itself. But
Yeah.
OZ still, and that's why everyone was always getting high as hell during those days. But now OZ still is about the only station that still has live people up there.
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
think so,
sure that
24.
they're still all fucked up. Those guys at night. When was the last time you were on there?
Well, I was a pre-Katrina DJ. I did late night shifts, 12 to 3 or 3 to 6. That was where the real magic
Wow.
happened.
Oh yeah.
But
Really
you
imagine.
you couldn't have a life outside of that.
What did you do till 3 a.m. when you started work there? You weren't asleep, I assume. You weren't.
No. I played a lot of soul jazz, and I was actually, I'm going to make the claim right here, right now. I was the first because I brought my own rigged internet connection that I was taking requests from as far away as Siberia. That's before OZ got all technological.
St.
I
Claude
created
Street?
a late night jazz,
Kidding.
late night jazz at Yahoo, and I was able to get this really weak internet connection, but I was able to get email requests from all over the world, and now they do that. It's just par for
Right.
the course. But I threw down the spear. I was
So
the
you're
first to do it.
That's cool. So what was it like being a DJ? That you quit though now? Were you too busy? I
No.
assume?
It was just Katrina happened. I had a shift, just before Katrina, and then in the course of the exile, they had a lot on their plate, but they didn't check on me, man, and I got mad about that. I was like, whoa.
They didn't
man,
care where you were. No one called up to say,
Nobody
hey,
sent me an email saying, hey, what's up? Are you okay? When
where's
you
the
coming
3
back?"
a.m. Tuesday guy?
Yeah, so I got a little miffed. I'm
Yeah.
over it
You
now.
got your feelings hurt by
I did.
being the overnight guy. You thought somebody would care about you.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of volunteering even outside those shifts, too.
Right.
But I understand now, because I'm talking to some of the people in the organization, it's like, dude, we had a lot on our plate, man, and I'm sorry.
Did you think the world revolves around you, really?
I do sometimes.
Yeah, okay, well, that's
and then
why,
I needed
see?
a little chin check
Yeah.
like that to bring me back to earth.
Yeah. Well, still, it's worked out. It says here that you were a filmmaker when you moved next door to Bacchanal in its first outlaw
Wannabe
phase.
filmmaker.
I want to be filmmaker.
Yeah.
And it says you decided to work there to gather material for a screenplay.
I did, yeah.
What was going to be a movie turned into your real life.
Exactly.
How
the
cool.
screenplay was two old college buddies connect who used to throw parties back in college, and then kind of a quirky little neighborhood curiosity blows up into this thing, and that was the screenplay. And it was a collaboration of two old friends who energized each other again, coming together, and then it started happening, and I didn't have time to make a movie about it.
So you actually, in your imagination, you imagined a bar like this with your old college roommate who's your partner at.
Chris Rudge,
Chris
the
Rudge.
founder and
Yeah.
soul of Bacchanal.
Yeah,
he
well-
is Bacchus personified.
He was on Happy Hour at one point back in the day there.
I remember
when
that,
we
yeah.
He
When he
told
was
us the
nominated
story of-
Mayor of Hipsterville.
Mayor of
on this show.
Hipsterville, yes. We came up with the title of Mayor of Hipsterville for him,
Does
I
he
think.
get a
here.
day too? A day in the city?
He should have a day, shouldn't he?
I don't know if you want to be mayor of Hipsterville. not in the current climate. You
I
could-
saw a fantastic video. Was it on your website? Of people who shot a show about hipsters. It's cool.
I was on that.
You're the
I
guy.
took a
You're
lot
the-
of
you're
lot
like-
of crap for that.
Yeah, really. I thought it was great.
I do too.
What was it called? It was called like
American Hipster Presents.
Yes. And this guy goes around all around the country doing like little 5-minute or so little movies about places where hipsters live.
Or where young people
Right.
are innovating and doing stuff outside of the mainstream and might be labeled hipster, but if you dive into what they're doing, you find out there's actually something really cool going on behind the label. That was
Right.
the intent of naming the show that. I'm still friends with the producer of it. I think they did a great job.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it told a good story about you. Actually, you were you were like there was no Chris Roach at all. He was like gone.
No, he just doesn't
He
want to
wasn't
be
in it.
on film. He does not
No,
like being on camera.
you were better. You were very articulate on that thing, and it made it very
Oh,
attractive.
thank you very much.
You did a good job, indeed. Are you still writing?
I am still writing, but
Sarah's a writer, and Kelcy's a writer.
Not really.
Yes.
I'm still writing, and a lot of it has to do with how, now that I'm like knee deep in where we are at right now, it's about creating content that kind of sells the business, but also tells stories around New Orleans, and it's still preliminary stages, but that original idea of filmmaking in and around Bacchanal never left me, and I think I want to start doing that again soon.
That's
but
a
more
good
about
idea.
storytelling of real stories, not fiction.
So you would have people like sitting around with a drink in their hand telling
You
you
kind of,
their
yeah,
life
I'm going to
story.
take this idea and run with it.
It's a great idea. And the good thing that you could do, though, if you filmed it, we're filming this here today, Max is filming this, is that you could be part of Hollywood South and you get 35% of your expenses rebated by the state.
That's what I'm going for.
That's a brilliant idea. Good thinking. Kelsey's sitting here with a guitar, and she's brought Sam Cords with her, who's is her brother-in-law, kind of, right?
If only.
If only.
Right. Yeah.
But you can't get married here because we don't.
No, I
we
can't.
don't.
No, Louisiana's last.
We're
and
behind
start
on that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think they're ever going to allow same-sex marriage
Ever.
in Louisiana. Do you believe so? Graham's nodding her head. She thinks they're going to.
I think eventually, yeah. Eventually, for sure.
Do you think so? I think
Yeah.
we're the 51st state in the nation. It's a Supreme Court
Yeah,
issue.
yeah. Once
Right.
the
So
Supreme
the Supreme
gets
Court is
there-
going to tell the state. So the states have to obey the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. This is where things go bad here. That I should have paid more attention. That civics
It's
class.
the South. Sometimes you have to have justice crammed down your throat.
like the Voting Rights Act or
Well, I
something like that. So
think,
it's
I
the
think
same
Mississippi
thing.
actually yesterday had a big court case, and I think they're waiting on the judge to rule there. But I think people are pretty optimistic that Mississippi is going to flip, which will be great because Mississippi is usually last, which means Louisiana will officially then be probably.
Right. Well,
be
when
very
I
last.
first moved here, 100 years ago, people used to say, "Thank God for Mississippi."
Right, exactly.
Otherwise, we would have been last at everything.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So I think they finally surpassed
but
us.
now Mississippi is actually is
More
is
progressive,
Mississippi going to legalize
potentially.
same-sex marriage
Potentially.
this year? Really? Mm-hmm. And well, why aren't we going to?
Well, don't ask me.
Well, you must. Are you keeping up with it?
I do, yeah, here and there.
Well, what's their
I mean,
argument?
I don't know that I'd be getting married even if it were illegal right now. But
Really?
Yeah.
What would you have to do to get married?
What do you mean?
I mean, what would it take for you to marry Puddin?
My partner saying, Puddin saying.
She'd have to say yes.
Yeah.
So you'd do it if she said yes.
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
This is an on-air proposal happening?
No, absolutely not.
Have you talked about it?
I
With
don't
her?
think Puddin will listen to the podcast.
She doesn't
anyway.
listen, really.
I don't know.
She doesn't.
might.
She's not very.
busy,
She's not very
busy
supportive
individual.
of you.
Oh, no, I wouldn't quite go there. She's in the band, but yeah, she's a pretty busy individual.
Okay. Well, you're allowed to be busy and still listen to this because you can
That's
just
true.
stick it in your ears and
That's
you
true.
know.
Well, she did listen last time.
She did.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she'll hear this one and
Right.
she'll say, "Oh my God, I had no idea you wanted to marry me."
I don't think she'll say that.
Have you discussed it?
Yeah, we've talked about it.
What's it going to take? She just has to.
Her-
What does
just-
she?
yeah.
But what does she need to know
That's.
about you?
I think you'd have to ask her then. I'm not.
I
don't
would
know.
love to. Let's call her up.
Yeah, you want to? She's, like I said, she's very busy, but you can give it a shot.
No, we could, but I would have
I've heard you do stuff like that.
I
on
know
the
we
shows.
have done it before, but I feel bad about.
She's busy helping. She's a
Kelsey's.
social worker. She helps people. So
She's a
I would feel
social
bad
worker.
taking
That's
her
nice.
away
What
from.
does she play? What instrument does she play?
She plays the banjo and the mandolin.
It's a good thing that she's a social worker,
Why is that?
right? Because that must be a tough gig to make a living with a banjo and mandolin.
Well, I think both of them can be pretty tough.
Social work is tough
yeah,
too. I would
think it can be. Yeah.
How long has she done that for? A long time.
Let's see. Yeah, I think she's going on maybe 7-8 years.
Wow. But you don't do anything else, right? This is your full time.
No, I'm a freelance writer. That takes up half my time. So this is half in the
Well, who are you
freelance
writing for?
Renaissance Publishing is who I do most of my work for.
Well, they
so
publish
they do
what, St. Charles Magazine?
St. Charles Magazine, New Orleans Magazine, Louisiana Life, all those.
Why
those
can't you
guys.
get us in those magazines? Why isn't there an article
Well,
about us?
I don't work for them. I work for myself. But
Oh, they just hire you.
they
to do
hire me and they tell me
What
what they
about
want me to
doing an
write.
article about the show that
I
we're
can
doing
definitely
right now?
propose
Beau,
one.
Sarah,
Yeah, let's do it.
me, Chris, everyone. Look, it'd be great. And then we could do the interview at Bacchanal and
That's
record
right.
it for you.
Bacchanal after
Could
hours.
record it for Bacchanal after
A
hours.
wild freewheeling conversation over wine that gets out of control. Kind of sounded like this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's nice. Have you started making those yet at all?
I did one when we were having the big music issue, and it came up to a vote. Remember when they were about the music ordinance?
Down.
Yeah, and I had a great...
Oh, yeah, I followed that pretty closely.
I had a great after hours. It was our first one, heavily produced, and a really great team attached. And we had Nicole Weber on, who was Kristen Palmer's legal assistant. And then we had David... Who was the guy doing all the sound?
David Hasselhoff.
Well, he looks like David Hasselhoff.
He looks like David Hasselhoff. Okay, that narrows it down. Who would it be?
I can't believe I love this guy, but he was the guy that authored the proposal.
Oh, the guy with the long hair from the city.
And I love this
Looked
guy.
Looked like he's in Metallica or something. I don't remember that guy's name either, but I couldn't.
Not David Simmons. David, damn it. I
Richard
love you, David.
Simmons.
I really do. But
David
I just
Wolf or something like that. Was that it? No. But he was working. He's like an audio engineer.
Oxford. He owns Oxford Engineering.
Okay.
David.
Chris will tell us. Chris will look it up in a minute.
Yeah,
but
sorry, David.
He's the guy who was the city's audio engineer who was walking around with the sound meter.
We did a whole show that covered all the bases, and then the next day the show was rendered obsolete because we won the war. So, and then I tried to edit it anyway, but I'd never tried to synchronize 5 cameras worth of audio, and the guys that shot it had to move on to Hawaii. They were doing Food Network stuff, and so I've got it in the can for an historical record, and I can resurrect it as soon as someone can teach me how to edit 4 or 5 different cameras going at once, and then synchronize audio, and it's too much.
But isn't that what editing software does?
Yeah, it is a lot easier to do that with Final Cut today, but I just. It was a little more complicated due to how we shot it. But I'm going to make that night happen because it was a lot of fun. But when we do them in the future, it'll be more informal. Not as many cameras. It was just like a major TV production.
Yeah, that's ambitious, but it was good to do it if you can pull it off, though.
Yeah, and to realize that I want to do stuff with a smaller footprint as far as technology goes. I want to be able to put out content kind of regularly without.
Right.
Having a team of dedicated editors that make $40-something bucks an hour.
Let's come back and talk about your film career, and Sarah, I've got a couple of questions for you too about booze. But first of all, I'm going to try and make Kelcy play something before time slips away on us completely. Kelcy, what are you going to play here today?
Well, the last time I was on the show, there was a song I was going to play, and then if you recall, my capo totally snapped.
I do.
And I was like, well, so much for that song. So I thought I would play that one.
Okay,
if that
great
works
idea.
for you.
Yes, that works for me. What do you guys think? Is it okay we take a vote?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
Absolutely. And Dave Woolworth.
So you have choice A or choice B.
How can we forget that?
This is a song called Favor that was written for my madre. Because, moms...
That's funny because the last time you played a song was written for your father.
Well, that's just it. So I was going to play, it was like around Mother's Day, I think. And so I thought, well, I'll play this song because I wrote it for my mom. And then my capo snapped and it was like, well, Father's Day is around the corner. And so I played
that's nice.
the Elvis song. But this is called Favor. And there's 2 versions of it on my record. One is a very fast, full band, big rock production. And then the second version is this sort of slower acoustic thing with a cello, and it's a lot softer and sweeter. And so what we're doing today is going to be kind of a combination between the two, because we got Sam here playing the guitar rather than a cello. So here goes.
My hands are the same as your hands, and my eyes are the same as your eyes. So when I tie string and it comes untied, well, you see the same thing. Your hands, they touch the same string, so why does it come untied? Why do these hands and eyes lie? Here I am, asking for a favor. Please don't waver in your answer. Please just hold your hands outstretched. just one way to say words like thank you. Here I am asking for a favor. Please don't waver in your answer. Please just hold your hands outstretched. Here I stand, ask of me a favor. Oh, I will labor in my efforts now to pay this debt I owe. Why do I always owe? There's always a lesson to learn. There's always a lesson I've learned. Here I am asking for a favor. Please don't waver in your answer. Please just hold your hands outstretched. Here I stand, ask of me a favor. Oh, I will labor in my efforts now to pay this debt I owe. Here I stand, ask of me a favor. I will labor in my efforts now to pay this debt I owe. Why do I always do? I always owe.
Kelcy Mae. Kelcymae. Wilburn. We
There you
don't
go.
use Wilburn.
No, I
That's a
don't.
song about Mrs. Wilburn.
No. No more. Mrs. Gressens.
Mrs.
Gressens.
How do you spell it?
Gressens.
That's a very unusual name as well.
Yeah, I don't know the history behind that name. I know my stepfather is
Sounds-
Sicilian, but I think
Oh.
his mother was the Sicilian side, so I'm not sure what.
It
Gressens
seems
is.
maybe French again, doesn't it? Sarah, Arcenaux?
There's been so many variations once we came to this new world, you know. Come
Yeah,
on.
that's true. People change things. So what did your mum think of the song?
Oh, she loved it. But she's like Mom, you know. She loves
Yeah, what is she
everything.
going to say?
Right.
You know, you could have changed that verse a bit. There's nothing embarrassing in that, though. It says
No,
anything terrible.
no.
So you have a great relationship with your mum.
I do.
And
yeah.
what about your dad?
Yeah, we have a good relationship.
Everyone's
too.
good. Do they get on? Both like parties?
Yeah. It took a while.
How old were you when they split?
I was 17, 18?
Yeah.
17, I think.
Was it bad or was it okay by that time?
It wasn't so good. No.
It wasn't.
It wasn't so good.
So many people get divorced. It's like
Yeah.
you think it would be easy, but it never gets easy. It's never easy.
No, I guess not.
But everyone gets on now. So what happens at Thanksgiving, say?
So on Thanksgiving, I typically go to my maternal grandmother's house, spend the day with Mom's side, and then I usually go, I don't know, see Pops. He remarried and had another child, so I have a 7-year-old half brother. So he's got another set of, a whole other sort of family situation. So we hang out when.
And your mom
we can.
remarried as well.
That's true.
So they both found someone else pretty quickly.
Fairly
Can't that
quickly.
have been
I
that
mean,
long
I'm
ago?
not 19 or anything, but.
Well, you look pretty young. I don't know how old you are, but
Well,
you look
thank you.
pretty young.
Yeah.
So that
So
can't have been that long ago.
it was. Well, I'm 31, so it
Okay.
was, I guess, whatever 31 minus 17 is.
Mm,
14 years ago.
43. No,
14 years
14.
ago.
Oh, that's
Is
quite
that
a
right?
while.
Yeah.
Bo, what's the deal with you? Are you married, single, or what?
It's complicated, man.
How complicated is it?
It's really not that complicated. I'm
It's
happily
simple.
single, but I'm not polyamorous, as I remember it came up on a recent show.
That's right.
But
That was-
I do. I'm in love with several people, but man, I
That's what they call polyamorous now, though, if you're in
I'm
love
just
with
not
several
making
people.
love to several people.
Well, nor was she. That was a woman who was on our show last week,
Oh, that's right.
Sophie Lucido Johnson. She said that, this is her quote, that she's in love with these 3 guys, but she's not having sex with all of them.
Right.
And I said, well, what are you doing?
And then you made a phone call to one of them.
She
was that
called.
the one?
No, he called. I think he called while she
okay.
was on the show. Yeah, Ned.
I was like, man,
He's
this
the
show
main
is a
one.
confessional.
Well, that was pretty interesting, though, because she said that she's polyamorous, and so she has a relationship with 3 guys, but she's not actually having real sex. She described it as penises are out.
Wow.
That's how she described it, but they're not penetrating everything. That was her description. Wow. So what? How far do you go in that? So you have these 3. You have 3 women.
No. One thing's in progress right now. I can't.
You can't be too
I would mess it
detailed.
up, Yeah.
Okay, so don't tell us any names or anything. She told us their names and everything. She didn't seem to care.
Yeah.
But I don't think that.
I tread soft.
Do you see that working out, like having 3 separate relationships?
Oh no, not at all.
So you're going to have to choose between one of these 3 people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what's the deciding factor going to be?
I'll just go over the fucking waterfall, man. Whichever waterfall that is.
Hey, listen, have another shot of it. What do you
Yeah,
call
let's do
this?
it.
Yeah, have a shot of the stuff. I mean, you're supposed to sip it though, not shoot it.
You can drink it however you like.
Okay, let's have another
Yeah, what's
shot.
the name of it?
Well, it's referred to, the recipe that I've sort of adapted actually is called Bainacor.
How do you spell that? B-A-I-N?
B-A-I-N, meaning Old Gaelic for heart of the milk. It's very romantic.
Wow.
It is. What other booze do you make?
Speaking of love,
Yeah.
I'm
so
Gaelic.
who's going to pour?
you go.
Who's going to pour us one?
you should remember this recipe then, right?
I do have.
you have a past life
have
regression?
The archives
Yeah.
of
there
being
is
Gaelic.
some deep Welsh information that I
yeah.
access every now and
You're
then.
born
out
with
of
it, right?
nowhere. But the language part, it's a weird language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gaelic. Have you had any connection to it?
I'm Welsh.
You are actually
Yeah.
Welsh. There's like close.
I've come from many, many generations of moody, drunken poets that just wander off into these bogs and die singing songs.
That
that's
is
my-
romantic.
That
Yeah.
is totally
Pretty romantic.
It's kind of what my dad did.
You came
For
to
real.
New Orleans, right?
That's what I'm aiming for. It's my goal.
To wander off
good
into a
way-
bog and die
Yeah,
while
right, while
reciting
singing.
poetry.
Exactly.
That's how your dad died, for real? Did
More
you
or
say
less,
that?
yeah.
A bog?
Well, it wasn't a bog. It was a commune in Tennessee. But that's what he was really doing. It was
Sounds the same.
Yeah, he was so like torn up about my mom, and
What happened to her? She walked out.
he was too much of a hippie. And she was like, I need a man like my father, and I need a hard-working, hammer swinging kind of dude.
But what was he like when she married him?
He was exactly the same hippie that she rejected later on.
And she thought she was going to change him, or he was just going to change
exactly,
magically
and it
into her
didn't
dad.
happen. And he ended up wandering off to one of the most famous communes that is still in existence today. And I didn't even know this until I discovered it by accident one summer, and then went off to see where he was buried on this commune. It's called the Farm in Summertown,
yes.
Tennessee.
My mother is a midwife, or was, and she spent some time on the farm at that, back in the 70s.
Is that still a place people go to?
It's still
and-
there.
I believe,
And-
It
yeah.
is very much still
I've
there.
never been there personally, but yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Gaskin is kind of like taken up, the cover of High Times magazine's spokesman for the old counterculture.
Oh, okay.
The weird story, and I'll do it really quick, is I had no idea that that's how my dad died. But I had been reading this book called Haight-Ashbury Flashbacks by Stephen Gaskin since I was a really young lad. And then one day, while I was visiting in Tennessee, happened to reread the preface of this dog-eared book and noticed that at the end of the preface, it was Stephen Gaskin, The Farm, Summertown, Tennessee. And I just suddenly came to me that, wait, Mom said something about he was buried in Summertown. And I went and asked her later that day, I was like, The Farm, Mom? And so there was this connection with me and my father that just came together, it was
Organically,
like a lightning
yeah.
bolt, because I had no idea. And so a week later, I was at the farm and I was meeting Stephen Gaskin and all of these little heroes, rockin' Jody Morningstar that I'd been reading about in this book, Haight-Ashbury Flashbacks, and these were like the psychedelic heroes. And that connection with my father I didn't even know existed, but he literally had wandered off, and they told me he was the bard. He just sang lovelorn songs and entertained, and it was kind of a neat connection with a dude I hardly knew at all.
Isn't that your
Wow.
Isn't that your movie?
It sounds like one now.
Yeah, it should be, right?
That is such a great story.
But I will say also, I hated the farm. It was that's when
Why?
I realized I do not want to be a hippie.
You're not a hippie?
Just was like,
What did you hate about
well,
it?
it just was like it was too rural. It was like, and I dug their Zen thing, but like when I saw my dad's grave, which was just this barely noticeable lump in the ground with the flowers and stuff, I was like, man, F that. I want a monument on my shit. I mean, I'm still a hippie at heart, but there was something about, like, I don't know. I'm a big admirer of the farm and that they've existed this long.
Yeah, which most do not. Yeah, but most haven't survived like that.
I just realized that I'm kind of more. I want to be more of a city dude and kind of.
Well, you sound like you're saying you want to achieve something that's going to be left behind after you're gone, which is more than just a sort of a piece of dirt in the ground.
I don't know if anyone in our generation is allowed to call ourselves hippies in general anyway.
Hippies, I think it's a great term, hippie. Look, Sam's a hippie. Look at that. Aren't you?
You're making snap judgments.
Just because he's got long hair and round glasses like John Lennon. But don't you think hippie is something to be proud of?
Absolutely. Not that it's not anything to be proud of, but it, I mean, to me, it seems that a lot of our generations, although we do have our convictions, we become very complacent. Whereas I think of that movement as being something very the opposite of that. Reserved a special place for the generation that really made some social change happen.
Absolutely. I mean, my values are countercultural, but, I will just point out, like, one of my other icons, besides Stephen Gaskin, Tim Leary, Terrence McKenna, is, the greatest businessman ever known. Steve Jobs was an acid-dropping hippie, and I think he carried a lot of the values from the counterculture into the most powerful company in the world. I mean, getting the interface of technology and humanism. So you can have counterculture values and still play the game at top performance levels. And that's where I think is going to be the next wave.
Steve Jobs did acid?
Oh, yeah.
Is that well documented?
It is very well documented.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
when did he stop doing it?
They had a little trip room above the garage where they used to go, but there's
not an apple in Cupertino, one infinite loop.
It was shaped like an apple.
It stopped about in the mid-'70s, but he did say that, like, everything that ever happened to Apple in the course of the company, the whole vision, came to him on his acid trips. That was just an unfolding of everything.
And there's that in that.
He saw the iPad rise like a tablet out of a wheat field.
Is that
look, look, we have evidence right here at the
You're
table.
Making that up, I know. You've got a giant
iPhone
6 there.
A monument.
But is this stuff about Steve Jobs doing acid in his book? Did you read his book?
Well, there's really terrible biography by Walter Isaacson.
That thing.
Yes,
yeah.
it does come out in that.
It does.
Yes.
And when's the last time you did acid?
The last time
What's today?
Well,
30 minutes ago.
No, I'm not a big fan of that. I really think you got to keep it natural. So,
right.
So I have experimented, but I've always found that to be like psychoanalytic Drano. It's too, I don't know.
You couldn't do acid.
Stick to the ancient stuff.
What do you stick with? Pot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And other,
What else is there? Mushrooms?
Yeah. Those two alone are just.
That's enough.
And then maybe every now and then ayahuasca. And yeah, lots of wine.
Ayahuasca. Prunes. Have you ever done ayahuasca, Sarah?
I have not.
Kelcy, have you ever done it?
No, I've not.
You do that regularly?
No.
Just once in a while.
No.
Well, that is the heaviest duty of all of them.
No, yeah.
That's a super serious.
That's if you really got a problem with like meth or post-traumatic stress disorder, and you are at that wall, and you need a conversion, a catalytic conversion experience to get you out of that death spiral. Go do that.
Don't go to the social worker.
Everybody else, shrooms are fine.
This is a little
man.
counterculture.
Okay. Where did you get the pot and the mushrooms from when you sold them? Did you have like a wholesale?
Well, my partners told me, said, talk about whatever you want, but make sure you keep it.
Don't mention the pot and the mushroom. You're not selling them out of Bacchanal, I know that. Because I'm sure they're watching you. The city is keeping an eye on you guys.
Right. Yeah, no, this is a part of my past that I
So
hold
you've
dear.
gone straight. You're like a business guy now.
Yeah.
Good answer. So, Sarah, what was your mom doing as a midwife? Why did she choose to be a midwife on a hippie commune in Tennessee, of all places?
She just went to go visit there. She had some friends there. Mostly she chose
Who were they? Do you know?
No, I mean,
Could
I
it
may
be
have
Beau's
met them
dad?
as children, but
Could
I'm not
it be
sure.
Beau's dad?
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. It is a small world. In New Orleans, we're only like 1 degree separated from everybody. So, but no, she actually chose to be a midwife in the state of Louisiana, where it was not legal, and she's the reason it is legal.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. It wasn't legal to be a midwife?
She's a feminist.
What do you mean it wasn't legal to be a midwife? You had to be a doctor to deliver
You had to be a
babies.
doctor to deliver babies. There was no education or licensing, basically. So you could go off to another state somewhere where you could get some education and licensing and all that. but then you couldn't legally practice outside of that state. So so she
What
she
year
spent
was that? This
she
is the
spent
70s.
in this point she spent the early 80s doing this, working with a doctor that she had found who supported her cause, and actually some of the Landrews, actually, they were politician family as they are now, and she worked with them. They were supportive of her cause too in the legislature to get everything legitimized. And she actually lost a lot of friends over it too. There were a lot of people that supported her, but there were also other midwives who did not support her, didn't want to have to, didn't want to be regulated as they are.
What were they doing?
They wanted to be underground or something?
Yeah, they wanted to remain underground and
Why?
regulate themselves.
And where were you when your mom was at the farm?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh, okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet,
So midwives existed, but they weren't legal. So who would
midwifery,
have one? Who would have a midwife then?
Arguably, everyone at this table knows the oldest profession in the world, but I believe that it goes right along hand that you needed a midwife at that point. So
doesn't everyone who give birth from time immemorial have someone to help them? I mean, human beings, not every animal, but don't human beings all have, whether we have a term for it or not, whether it's called midwife or doctor?
Absolutely. It's pretty
someone?
well, yes, of course, but it's in our modern Western culture. It's become very something that needs to be very controlled.
Well, it has to be regulated because it's life and death, and
Of course. I'm pretty sure people die less in childbirth these days, though.
I would think so. I think even in Louisiana we have low mortality, infant mortality.
We
rate
do. I mean,
United
first
States.
world,
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, that's why it's good to have some regulation. But what happened before there was regulation is that there were midwives delivering babies, but illegally. So who would hire you if it was illegal?
Well, it was, it wasn't too dirty under the table. It was people who were just living in rural lifestyles and alternative, lifestyles.
Okay.
But she was a nurse, and she went through nursing school first, and then decided she wanted to take her education a little further and went and studied with midwives, like on the farm and other places. And despite it, and then she said, well, you know what? I know a few people. Why don't we get this thing going in Louisiana, and I can practice here and have my family here where I want to be. So.
Do you remember the years that she was at the farm, or what the era? Because I'm trying to say maybe
you guys are brother and sister.
Oh no! No offense.
Well, my dad died there in '79, so
yeah,
that
it would have been, I believe, before then. So I was born in '81, so she would have been. Yeah, so it's quite possible.
This is some serendipity.
Yeah,
this is a higher level of booking you guys.
Tell me something.
Thanks, Graham.
Graham DePonte's our producer, does this. I don't know. It's some sixth sense she has about putting people together. This is a pretty good one, though, I have to say.
I'd have to double check this story. I haven't heard in quite a long time. So yeah.
Well, we need to find out.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Supposedly the Wilburns are from Tennessee. Maybe,
there you go.
I'm trying to get in on
we may
this.
have crossed. Yeah. We may have crossed paths.
That is the whole thing is just amazing. I mean, the whole story about how you found out about your dad in the first place.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy. So you haven't been to the farm, though?
No, I've never been.
Man, it's still going. So what did your dad do on the farm? Were they farming?
When he was there, they were at the peak of they kept the 60s going. They didn't quit the party. And so, I'm not that they weren't doing serious stuff and moving towards midwifery and other, industries and getting into, I think, soy production and various things. But they were still in full thrall, as far as I understand it. And so, even Stephen Gaskin told me himself, he's the one that took me out there to that little mound where my dad was, and he was like, I wish I could give you some more anecdotes about your dad. I remember he was a bard to us and sang and stuff like that, but he said, dude, it was still the 60s here. So it was a lot
I remember
going on.
The
farm had reached this peak population around that era, but I think he made a good dent there.
How amazing. So when was the last time you saw your dad alive?
Wow, way on back. I remember he actually tried to teach me how to meditate, and I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and I can remember him opening up this Indian, probably, or a Tibetan book with mandalas and stuff, and he crammed my little legs in the full lotus position and was trying to make me understand that meditation can put you on that cloud right there, and I remember trying. And he was in a sad little bachelor pad living above somebody else's crib, and that was probably shortly before he wandered off in, enjoying the farm or whatever. So
that was the last memory you have of him when you were...
He also tried to get me to smoke a joint. I remember that. He took me to see Tommy when I was like 4 years old. And I went home and told my mom, I want Tommy jeans. And I've worn Tommy jeans ever since.
Are you still wearing them?
Well, I dressed up a little bit. But yeah, I have a lot of jeans with holes in them.
Wow, that's wild. So what made your dad think that smoking pot would be good for a little child?
Actually, I think he was doing the reverse. You know, the way your dad...
Oh, it's
sits
kind of
you
like
down,
psychology.
Right, like to make you...
Don't smoke this, son.
Because, you'll cough.
Yeah.
Right.
When Dad makes you want to, you have to sit down and smoke a whole pack of Winstons to learn your lesson. I hope that's what he was doing.
Well, it totally worked on you, right? Because you've never smoked pot since.
Well, and also...
Apart from that stuff you sold while you were a DJ at WWOZ.
I didn't do it at OZ.
No, I'm just saying. I'm sure they don't care about that anymore.
And I didn't really sell that much. I consumed most of it.
Oh, really? Well, good. Hey, listen, before we have to start moving out of here, which is not far off, Kelcy, we have to make you play one more song.
Oh, okay.
We have to.
Cool.
It's the law.
Sounds great.
What do you think?
Do you want...
Do you have any songs about midwifery, Tennessee, hippies,
I don't.
acid, ayahuasca?
I was thinking about playing the one that you were talking about earlier, the video that just came out yesterday, because it's kind of about the event, sort of. It's about what inspired me to do this thing to benefit Apex.
Yes.
But it's kind of a sad song, so I'll let people go online and listen to it there and watch the video, and that's called The Fire. Instead, I'll play something that lets Sam show off a little bit, and just kind of a fun song. Is that cool?
It's totally cool. Whatever you'd like to play.
It's
what
also
is
on the record. It's called My Love, I think. Right? All right. Thanks. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Quit being stupid, quit being stupid, quit being stupid with my love. Quit being stupid, quit being stupid, quit being stupid with my love. I heard you say those words to her. I heard it from a little bird. I know that's the way we were. The way we were. Quit being stupid, quit being stupid, quit being stupid with my love. Quit being stupid, quit being stupid, quit being stupid with my love. I see you putting me on. I see you on your phone. I know that guilty tone. That guilty tone. Do you think I'm a fool that I don't see you playing it cool? Don't you remember we had just one rule? I heard you say those words to her. I heard it from a little bird. I know that's the way we were. The way we were. We were. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Quit being stupid, quit being stupid, quit being stupid with my love.
Kelcy Mae, Kelcymae. And Sam
Grant.
Chords, thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
That's a nice little song. It was a great way to end the show. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So if you're listening to this in 2014 and it's not November the 15th yet, you still have time to go down to the Britannia Bar, see Kelcy Mae play live with her band. Pudd
right.
on banjo and mandolin.
Right. Pudd on banjo and mandolin.
And Pudd's brother Sam on guitar.
Exactly.
And the rest of the band. And as well as a whole bunch of other great people who are the Honourable South and Local Skank. And Micah McKee's and really great people in his band Little Maker. So good on you for doing that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. We're looking forward to it. Thanks to Apex for doing what they do.
The
Apex Youth Center in Central City. Yeah.
In Central City.
Please consider a donation.
On Simon Bolivar.
There you go.
However that's pronounced.
Simon Bolivar.
Simon Bolivar. Sarah Arcenaux, thank you so much for joining us as well. We can see you down at the new Brennan's on Royal Street.
Brennan's on Royal Street.
Come and look
we're
for
gonna,
you.
We're going to have some great cocktails and lots of fun.
Are you going to use this Banecore in your cocktails over there?
No, this is my personal stuff. This is home stuff.
You're going to have to get to know
But we
Sarah.
will be
I
I
know.
know.
We didn't find out anything about Sarah's personal life at all whatsoever.
I
so
know. You
Just
didn't
found out
get
about
there.
our parents, man.
Why don't we just add another 30 minutes to the show right now?
But well, I mean, I'd love to sit around, and have
Would
some more
you?
cocktails and talk. But
Next
yeah,
time.
but we're going to be
Okay.
doing some really fun cocktails, lots of handmade things. So yeah, it's going to be great.
And
Let's
come
do
on.
one at Bacchanal.
Let's go
after
down to
hours where
Bacchanal
we have
after
no
hours.
restrictions,
Yeah.
time or otherwise.
Yeah,
Yes.
come on then.
I'm not kidding.
Sarah said she celebrated her birthday at Bacchanal actually before
I
the show
did
started.
my birthday this year, a second time actually.
It's great for birthdays.
I have a quick story about Bacchanal. Right after Katrina, a couple months, I was living on Dauphine in France. I was living in Lafayette, but I was splitting my time here with a boyfriend of mine at the time, helping reopen some restaurants in the French Quarter. And after being bombarded all day by so much heaviness just everywhere, we would walk to Bacchanal, and Bacchanal was barely open, and we were drinking out of jars, and it was just this slice of normalcy that we could get in the evenings that was just, it's got a piece of my heart for sure.
Oh man, thanks a lot. I have the same memories of it. Of just that was such a place for people to come together and realize we can recover.
We're
we can
still
bring
here.
it back. We can
Yes.
make this happen.
Yeah, it was really, it definitely holds a special spot.
Thanks a lot.
How nice. Oh, beautiful. What a nice way to end the show, Beau Ross.
Right.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Sarah Arcenaux.
Thank you very much.
Kelcy Mae.
Thanks, Kelcy.
And Sam
Thank you.
Chords has been here, who? The silent man on guitar. That's Happy Hour for this
Silent
week.
hippie.
Our show is produced by Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. If you'd like to be on our show and you can sit around this table for approximately 60 minutes and stay upright, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com, where you can also check out many other happy hours we've recorded here at Wayfare and before, as well as some other shows we make here at itsneworleans.com. Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace. Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajic, True to the Game with Chris True. Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the Man Who Ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. And Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker. You can keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. On all of it, you can find us. We're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and Facebook. These photos are taken by the fabulous Douglas Engel, who's walking around here somewhere. If you're listening to this show on iTunes or on Stitcher or some other podcast app, thank you so much for subscribing to us, and now there's lots of you. Please, if you could, just do one tiny little thing for me. Take a moment to stop and rate and review us. Just give us a couple of stars or 5 and tell people how much you like the show. That helps other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfare on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich and fine booze into a glass. Come and check it out down here. They have happy hour from 4 to 7 and excellent sandwiches every day and every night. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Andrew Duhon will be back, I think, in a week or two, possibly, or maybe not, depending on where the hell he is. He's walking around somewhere with a guitar. For everyone around here at the table at Wayfare and back at the INO office, I'm Grant Morris. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next time on Happy Hour.